Watch me ride.
Hey everybody, so I want to talk about the last video. If you haven't watched it, then maybe watch it. Especially if you're going to pass comment on it. I did choose the title for that video very specifically for a reason, which is I am so sick and tired of realising that whenever I make a video about science or some sort of subject that's it's a discussion, a debate, and remember that I don't ever voice my opinions in a way that's like, I'm right, you're wrong. I say, this is my opinion. If you wish to debate it with me, then fantastic, I'm going to learn something from you. But the way that you do that is you have to say to me, well, you said this and this, but you're actually wrong because of this, this and this. And that's how you learn, that's how we debate, that's how we go forward as a human race. But what a lot of people do is look at the title of the video and jump to their own conclusions about what's going to be said in said video, and then tell me I'm an idiot and etc, etc. And that's one of the reasons why I named that video Sending Humans to Space is Dumb. In reality, it should have been Sending Humans into Deep Space is Dumb. And if you have watched the video, you'll realise that's exactly what I was talking about. You could have also read the description. But as I say, I did it because I wanted to talk about this subject, and I knew I needed a good example of something recent that is just going to prove the point. Because I can make an opinion, but without evidence, without talking about real things, it doesn't really mean anything. Exactly like someone having an opinion on my video without watching it. I don't want to be that guy. Now, I'm not going to debate here that video itself. In the comments of that video, you'll see different people have said different things, and I've addressed each one of them. And if you're going to double down on the fact that you disagree with me after you've admitted you haven't watched the video, then I don't think I'm the one with the problem here. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because, yes, okay, with science and stuff, I mean, part of the reason is science has become very popular, and something I've noticed, I've always been into science. It's become popular, and a lot of people want to be involved in it, but instead of just being involved and going, oh, that's interesting, or adding something benign, they always go for the jugular to try and prove you wrong. That's not what science is about. It's not about proving, well, it is kind of about proving each other right and wrong, repeatedly, but, and as I say, because people want to be included in the discussion but are too lazy to actually watch the video, it makes, when I read the comments, I don't feel like reading them, because I'm like, this isn't a discussion. I mean, it's exactly the same as, say you go to a debate, and you say your piece, and throughout the entire time you're saying your piece, the person's got their fingers in their ears, and they're going, la 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 la, or they weren't there, you know, and then they want to go on the assumption of what they think you said, working on the title, and then pose an entire argument to try and assassinate your character or your intelligence or your point, without actually knowing your point or what you said. Okay, so in a science debate, in comments on YouTube, what does it matter? Because it is absolute proof of the way that people access their news these days. I've had discussions with people, disagreements with people who've said something, I'm like, that's not right. That's not what they said at all. And it becomes instantly obvious that they read the title of the news article and just make up the rest in their heads. You should realise that the reason articles and the news have catchy titles is because it equals money these days. That's what they need to get people to click on their things. That's how they make their money. If people don't click on the thing, they don't make the money, so they have to draw people in. It's exactly the same as YouTube and clickbait, but I have made a video on this subject before. There is a difference between clickbait and a catchy title. Someone had said something along the lines of, oh, it's a clickbait title. I said, well, it's not really clickbait. That's a misunderstanding of what clickbait really is. It was a title to just bring people in. And then they quoted those two things as if it was like a contradiction. I said, no, because if it was clickbait, none of the things that I would have thought would have been proposed in the title would have been in the video. And they all were, because that was the discussion. That's not clickbait. That's a catchy title. And if you don't want me to use catchy titles, well then I'm sorry, you don't understand how YouTube works and how to just survive in this world you have to I could push it so much harder than I do, and many do, and they get away with it. Jesus Christ, look at some of these big channels, like Off the Ranch is a great example. Every single video is clickbait, and it's on lines of things like, oh, she's leaving me and stuff like that. People accept that, and they're like, yeah, it's whatever, it's funny, I get it, you need to bring in the masses. The thing is, you see, YouTube has created this problem because without subscriber feeds these days, our videos don't get views with relation to our subscriber count. our views are related to how many people click on it, and there's so many of the people that watch my videos, nearly, well, sometimes 60% aren't subscribers, sometimes more. You aren't trying to, you know, get those people who have said, yeah, I want to see more of your videos to watch. What you're doing is trying to get people from out in the realms to watch. That's the way YouTube is now. That's the way everyone's having to work it. No one's subscriber feed works. To give a couple of examples of what I'm talking about, on my Facebook I had someone who left some comment that made it very obvious they hadn't watched the video, and they were criticising me. I said, and this is on a comment that basically was pointing out how it's funny how people comment on stuff without actually watching the video. And then they sort of, you know, doubled down on that and said, well, yeah, actually I only watched it for 5 minutes, but going on the first 5 minutes, you know, you said this, and I haven't got time to watch 27 minutes of the video, so you tell me what you said. And my reply to them was, I'm sorry, but that's not acceptable. In this world, it is not acceptable to not listen to the other person's opinion before passing comment. That's ridiculous. You can't do that. And it's not my place, because you're lazy, to somehow write out a 27-minute video on deep science and physics stuff so you understand it. If it's perfectly acceptable to look at a video and assume whatever you want to assume, not watch it, and think I'm an idiot. It is not acceptable to do all those things and then post a comment, because you're only going to make yourself look like more of an idiot, especially when the person who made the video specifically lined it up to pick you people up. And the reason I'm sick and tired of this is because I feel like I'm not having a real discussion with people. I don't feel like I'm making a connection with my audience. You know, when a video's been up 30 seconds, someone's like, oh, great video, loved all of it, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I see when you say that. It's a meaningless comment. Thanks for being nice and not being a dick, I suppose, but it doesn't really mean anything when you haven't watched the video. I know a lot of people are like, well, I know I like all your videos, so it's great. Well, I'd rather you were more subjective than that, and you sort of actually, you can question me. It's fine. I'm an open person. I like debate. I like discussing things. I haven't got an ego so strong that I can't be corrected by someone. And it makes me, she must have the most freezing face in the world. Get a goddamn full face helmet. Another one is when people try and pick me apart, and they're kind of right, but they miss the point. For instance, someone on Facebook was telling me how there was no G in space. And I understand what they're saying. There isn't technically G-force in space, because that's something that's relevant to Earth. But they're missing the context. But I think it proves that they weren't actually paying attention to what I'd said in the video, because what I was talking about, well, I said to them in reply, I said, okay, so you're saying there's no G in space. So if I get you on a ship and I accelerate you 1,000 meters per second squared, you're not going to be a red mark on the back wall. And they replied with, oh, well, what does G in G-force stand for? Now, yes, they're right. It means G-force is in gravity, and that's not something that happens in space. What I'm talking about is inertia. But when I'm talking about how the human body is evolved to sustain 1G because of us living on Earth, it's very relevant, because if you accelerate at what, like 19 point something meters per second, you're going to feel 2G, or the equivalent of 2G. Okay, of course it's inertia, it's not actual G-force as such, but they don't get that that's kind of the same thing. It's arguing asinine aspects. I'm not writing a thesis here. I'm trying to make a video to explain things to people who might not fully understand everything. Why would I be explaining all the basics of the science explanations rather than just referring to the name of it as a given that you'd understand that? Because I understand that many people don't understand a lot of the science stuff and the jargon. You know, because if you just said something like, oh, Newton's second law, they're not going to necessarily know what you mean. But when you explain what it is, a lot of people do understand things, you know? So I'm sorry that I kind of played a little bit of a trick on you to try and wheedle out the people who don't actually want to listen to what someone says before they pass opinion. But frankly, I think that's something that was worthwhile doing to address this issue. If you're a person that does that, stop it. You need to listen to all sides to form an informed opinion. And the reason that this is so, like, just in my head at the moment, and I'm not going to mention anything about anything when it comes to this, but when it comes to, like, leaving the EU, everyone is jumping onto social media to debate this, that, and the other, and so many of them don't understand it. I'm not saying I understand it, but then I don't sit there debating it other than issues that I think that I understand with a willingness to be corrected. Honestly, ego-driven people who aren't willing to actually have a proper debate are the bane of this world. If you want to have an opinion and you want to stand behind your opinion, that's good, but you're going to need to have a reason to have that opinion to be strong, and that is to do with evidence. Now, when it is just an opinion about something, that's fine, you can just voice your opinion, but when it's something that's factually, like science, you're going to need to make sure that your opinion is factual. Because trust me, scientists, people with a knowledge of it, are going to know when you're talking shit. If you enjoyed this video and the other content on the channel, please consider following the links in the description to show your support.